A long term in the past, aliens used human bodies to imprison their maximum risky monsters. However, mankind changed into not aware about this horrible experiment. The year is 1380. A group of soldiers are looking to kill a lady who is apparently floating in the air. However, they're quick ambushed by way of a tentacle monster that throws them into the walls. Earlier than the fight maintains, the people word a stunning mild performing from the sky, as the automobile jumps out from the portal while smashing onto the ground. The vehicle in the end stops as a robot called Thunder seems and starts off evolved analyzing the lady who's levitating by using herself. It turns out that she was used as a vessel for the alien creature. However, the prisoner has managed to escape the confinement. A 2D robotic referred to as Protect begins tracking down the monster, who appears to be hiding interior close by constructing. Abruptly they're attacked by the enemy, who knocks the tiny robot onto the partitions, but Protect is capable of soar in immediately, and starts blasting the enemy like he is from the Avengers. The robot ultimately forces the escaping creature to go back to its host, and regaining manage over the lady's body. This reasons the lady to drop down onto the ground as she flees directly towards the android while shooting out her tentacles. The robotic sees this and manages to stop the enemy just in time, as he starts off evolved extracting the alien creature from the woman's face and into his palm. The lady subsequently falls down while the robot catches her at the ground, as she begs her savior to take care of her infant daughter before passing far from the accidents. Thunder hears this and fast is going towards the baby, as he turns into intrigued by way of the tiny human, and rescues her from the hostile infantryman. Whilst reworking into his human shape, the other android fast takes out his transportation device and opens up a portal once again. He transforms into the equal human form but demands that they depart the infant behind, as they have to no longer intrude with human affairs. The two Speedy gets into the car, as they power directly towards the portal and returning back to their very own time, which seems to be 2012. It is quick discovered that the robots are honestly wardens from a distant galaxy, who are stationed here to ensure that the hostile aliens would never get away. But this time their assignment has bumped into an distinctive obstacle, as Shield starts off evolved to pay attention to noise coming from his automobile. The person is going to investigate at once, however is amazed to peer the little one within the trunk, who been brought here with the aid of his associate despite his disapproval. This significantly angers the warden as he sees the toddler as not anything however lifeless weight. However, Thunder believes that they are able to study greater approximately humans by way of raising her. The mum or dad has no preference but to just accept the girl into his residence, while he patiently awaits for his next project to arise. On the other aspect, in the year of 1391, a guy referred to as Maruk is displaying off his abilities towards the elderly, as he attempts to prove that he is the most powerful mage on the town. Distinctly, it best took an old female to reveal how weak he really is, as he tries desperately to get out without fainting on the floor. It's quick discovered that the man is definitely a bounty hunter, who tracks down criminals from inside the metropolis by means of the use of his magical powers. But he is fast stopped via different bounty hunters, who starts attacking him by sending him into the sky and crashing onto the floor. This gives him no other preference however to assault his opposition, as he starts using his magical fan to summon a couple of demon cats to fight in opposition to the enemies. The creatures in the end turn into human beings, who are capable of fighting like wild animals, and they are without difficulty able to overpower the enemy collectively. On the same time, Maruk is able to maintain again the alternative hunter as well, and begins using the enemy's own technique, as he throws the man away using high-quality pressure. He finally apprehends the criminals and acquire the money for his paintings, however soon stumbles upon some other bounty that's searching out a strange dagger. All at once, the person begins recalling recollections from his adolescence, as he appears to have heard about this item earlier than, which makes him decide to take in this venture straight away. The bounty hunter fast is going towards the metropolis in which the mysterious weapon was last seen, and finally arrive right into a tavern. Maruk begins inquiring about the object, however is simplest insulted by some other mage who tells the person to depart right now. This significantly angers the hunter as he tries to show off his powers, but is speedy stopped by using the opponent who paralyzes him through using best fingers. Maruk is driven backwards by the antique guy as he freezes like a dwelling statue, and is forced to watch the wizard stroll away onto the second floor. It is Speedy found out that the old guy is speculated to be having a meeting with a person referred to as the killer, who is by some means sporting modern garb now not from this time. The wizard takes out the mysterious knife and questions on its origins, but the atypical man simplest says that it rightfully belongs to him. On the identical time, Maruk has subsequently regained control of his body while limping onto the stairs, however quickly sees a massive tentacle shooting out from the walls. He attempts to go investigate, but Handiest sees that the wizard is significantly injured by way of the killer, which forces the vintage guy to toss away the paranormal knife right in front of a beggar. This reasons Killer to jump down immediately, as he starts off evolved chasing after the homeless man. Maruk sees this and fast runs in the back of them as nicely, and the three start sprinting across the streets while inflicting chaos inside the technique. Luckily, the hunter is able to use his magic and begins leaping onto the roof, while the killer exhibits himself to be an alien, as he launches a tentacle immediately at the homeless guy. The killer is sooner or later capable of corner the human, but Maruk suggests up simply in time and starts off evolved conjuring his magic, which knocks the alien into the walls. The hunter is going in the direction of the beggar at once, but before he can retrieve the knife, a tentacle grabs onto his arm and starts off evolved smashing the guy continuously at the buildings. This allows the alien to go after the weapon over again, as Maruk eventually recovers and starts chasing the enemy as properly. The hunter speedy catches up with the alien, and attacks the enemy a 2D time by hitting the opponent's crucial spots, however is bowled over to appear that the strike turned into now not powerful at all. The killer subsequently grabs onto the man and throws him onto the buildings nearby, even as sending a barrage of furious punches toward the hunter that fast knocks him unconscious. This permits the alien to chase after the weapon once more, even as the hunter is eventually found by his comrades, who are capable of wake him up as properly. What they didn't assume turned into to additionally find an even stranger object in the back of the partitions, which seems to be a space deliver that become abandoned by way of something no longer from this global. On the alternative facet, 10 years have long passed by means of for the reason that robots followed the human child, who has grown up to be a younger girl referred to as Yeon. However, she doesn't believe her father at all due to his odd behaviors, and secretly locations a cellular telephone in the vehicle to spy on his guardian. They ultimately arrive again into their hideout, whilst she pretends that everything is everyday, however secretly begins paying attention to the androids and hiding at the back of the walls. It's speedy discovered that any other convoy might be arriving on this planet inside the nearby sanatorium, wherein over 100 extraterrestrial beings could be implanted into the humans. After realizing what's going to take place, the girl speedy gets onto her bicycle and finally arrive in front of the clinic, wherein she plans to record the whole lot as well. Very soon, a group of clouds starts off evolved to seem in the front of all the human beings, that is hiding a giant spaceship, and it fast launches a mysterious tool directly towards the building. The extraordinary item levitates into the clinic and begins developing rapidly, finally turning into a giant cocoon and shocking all the workers into disbelief. A health practitioner goes closer to analyze the mysterious item and causing it to open up, as it well-known shows a tentacle interior it's pointing directly on the human. Very quickly, the alien tool launches toward the people, and stabbing all and sundry at the lower back in their necks, whilst shutting off their recognition as properly. The tentacles fast invades the whole health center even as infecting absolutely everyone as the end result. Yeon sees the horrific sight, and attempts desperately to escape the vicinity, whilst all of the sufferers are hunted down, as their brains are fused together with the alien creatures. The girl eventually makes it closer to the constructings go out, and to her wonder, she sees her father performing in the building as well. This causes her to quickly run the opposite way, as she will be able to now not accept as true with her mum or dad anymore. Very soon, the tentacles release the people and retreats lower back into the yellow shells, while fast shrinking down into its previous shape. The human beings are lower back again into attention with none reminiscences of the incident, even as all of the humans start performing like the whole lot is regular. Shield takes the thread and fast retrieves the rock, at the same time as contemplating about what to do with the young female. Happily, the person is in the end capable of find his daughter, and convince her to come lower back in return for the truth. They head back towards the hideout, and the androids begin explaining to the girl that they have implanted dangerous species from their civilization interior human beings for loads of years. But, from time to time the human thoughts is ready to subsequently reject the procedure which allows the aliens to briefly get away its host, as they could handiest live on in the planet's environment for 5 minutes. The robots' jobs are to make certain the seas of the crook species, but they haven't any obligations to save humanity. In the meantime inside the beyond, the bounty hunter has in the end found the killer's hideout, but simplest to appear that their enemy has already left. Fortuitously, they're capable of find the weapon's whereabouts, because it changed into purchased by way of a nearby commercial enterprise man. What they do not realize is that a mysterious monk is likewise seeking out the crystal knife, as he hires 2 effective wizards to search for the weapon at once as well. At the identical time, Maruk is able to find the man who is presupposed to marry the businessman's daughter, and forcefully takes over the identity of the groom. This lets in him to get inside the palace even as disguising because the suitor, as he pretends to be there to marry the young female. However, before the man can attain and do a few bedtime sports, he quickly unearths a weapon in the female's lap, it really is a lot larger than his own, which means that the bride is also from the destiny. The girl insists that the man drink a few tea earlier than the competitive cuddling, but the hunter quickly starts off evolved feeling dizzy, as he crashes down onto the floor. It turns out that the bride changed into additionally an imposter, who's right here to steal the weapon just like the hunter. What they do not recognize is that the two wizards are right here as properly, and that they begins the usage of their magic to force the humans to convey out the crystal knife. The girl sees this and fast rushes out at the same time as without difficulty fighting off the incoming guards and using her gun to dispose the enemies. She threatens the mages to give up at gunpoint, as she ultimately manages to seize onto the knife, not realizing that the wizards certainly have an ace up their sleeves. The mages are capable to show invisible, as they attack the girl constantly whilst hiding in the back of their cloak, and seeking to steal the dagger at the equal time. Fortunately, the lady is capable of restraining the enemy and points her gun closer to the person's head, while taking pictures of bullet directly at the alternative wizard, and lovely them each at the identical time. This allows the woman to run away right away. However, what she would not realize is that the mysterious monk is here as properly, and is able to knock her subconscious as end result. The person slowly tactics the female and quickly takes the weapon for himself, at the same time as the hunter is rescued by his two buddies, which allows them to break out from the place as nicely. In the meantime, in the Destiny, a spaceship seems inside the sun gadget as it rushes at once closer to Earth, and in the end arriving onto the planet's surroundings. The Guardians have also acquired the pressing information, and it turns out that a criminal business enterprise is attempting to unfasten their chief, who became implanted interior a human that become in the clinic. Understanding that problem is close by, the androids quickly makes a decision to intercept the prison smash, but Ian needs to come back along as well. Without extra time to waste, Defend comes to a decision to take the lady whilst reworking the entire car into a spaceship that launches into the sky, and heading at once for the alien host. At the identical time, the person implanted with the alien chief slowly wakes up in a room that he does not apprehend, at the same time as the risk is already here. He tries to get out from the building, but fast sees a creepy robot it is heading closer to him. The man escapes into the elevator, however the doors are beaten open by the red cyborg, who manages jumps into the place as nicely. The robotic processes the man slowly, and claims to be here to free his leader from the human frame. Luckily, earlier than anything can be accomplished, Protect is capable of jump in and begins preventing the enemy furiously, while finally gaining the higher hand as he smashes the opponent onto the wall. The warden attempts to finish off the enemy, however the robot Speedy launches an effective laser that pushes the mother or father backwards and causing first-rate harm close by. This supply the warden no desire however to stab the enemy's chest, at the same time as the two quickly receives pushed down the building, and giving the human a hazard to break out from the chaos. The person fast runs towards the closest vehicle, and escapes away from the region immediately. On the equal time, the Crimson Cyborg is eventually capable of advantage the top hand, and paralyze the warden whilst stealing the crystal dagger from the Guardian. The enemy quickly shoots a barrage of lasers, which in the end sends the warden falling down into the abyss. This permits the robotic to jump closer to the rooftop, as it goes into the spaceship and starts chasing at the back of the human that, conserving his leader hostage. On the opposite aspect, Thunder sooner or later manages to locate his pal, because the warden is ready to get better as well, and they plan on taking down the enemy together, who's getting nearer towards the alien host. Earlier than the enemy can trap the human, Shield is Speedy able to fee in and starts off evolved capturing furiously toward the opponent, and knocking down the large area deliver at the equal time. However, the enemy quick recovers and without delay begins firing again, whilst causing high quality damage closer to the town, because it rips via the buildings like cardboard. Guard realizes that they cannot live here for long, and Speedy lures the enemy far away from the populace while speeding immediately into the atmospheres. This lets in the parent to show again and tries to hearth in the direction of the opponent's vulnerable spot, but eventually fails while getting hammered by means of the laser as a substitute. The spaceship fast loses manipulate, as it starts off evolved losing toward the floor and crashing into the water as a result. The enemy sees this and quickly takes the threat at the same time as chasing after the human as soon as again. The giant area ship launches the laser closer to the automobiles, at the same time as inflicting a huge explosion that blows away the human host and knocking him subconscious within the bus. Very soon, the alien is ready park the large plane onto the road, as he jumps out into the opening whilst making plans to unfasten his leader with the aid of the usage of the knife. Fortunately, Protect is capable of fly in and attacks the enemy right away, but sooner or later fails to forestall the opponent from stabbing the human with the crystal dagger. The warden sees this and attempts to grab onto the human host, but is quick stopped by using the enemy and tossed away into the homes using outstanding pressure. The pink cyborg launches in and knocks the father or mother into the partitions, earlier than strangling the warden and quickly self-destructing to purpose terrific damage as result. The alien boss sooner or later awakens, as he sees the nearby spaceship, which reasons him to expel from the human frame and ultimately revealing its proper form as well. The creature quickly stands up and begins on foot closer to the giant vessel, whilst in the end opening the gates and making it inside the ship. Thunder takes the risk and follows the alien in the back of, even as Speedy locating out that the creature has brought severe quantities of gases from their domestic planet. It seems that the enemies plan on changing the planet's atmosphere, so they can all be freed without needing a human host anymore. But this will also wipe out all of the humans on this planet, because the gases are toxic to every person else on the planet. Fortunately, S.H.I.E.L.D. is capable of regain attention just in time, as he charges towards the spaceship and leaping internal, even as seeking to stop the aliens' plan. The two starts fighting furiously within the plane, but S.H.I.E.L.D. is capable of gain the gain and knocks the enemy backwards at the same time as throwing him outside the partitions. This additionally brought about 2 bubbles of fuel to leak out into the air, at the same time as the mom or dad tries desperately to lock up the rest into the spaceship. Very soon, the alien boss is capable of recover and returns back to its human host, even as sooner or later puncturing a gasoline field that releases limitless poisons toward the humans. This reasons all of the humans to die right now in the region, at the same time as growing chaos internal the streets as all of the people try and run for their lives. The crimson gasoline begins increasing swiftly and covering the whole block. However, fortuitously, Thunder is able to keep the young lady in the ultimate second by putting her in the automobile and permitting her to break out from the place. At the identical time, Defend is ultimately able to lock up all the gases within the deliver, and sooner or later flying the vessel away from the vicinity. This is stuffed through sufferers of the assault. This terrible event is all the time imprinted into the girl's mind, who is quick found out to without a doubt be the younger woman seeking out the crystal weapon for the beyond 10 years. Yian ultimately wakes up and realizes that she's been taken by way of the mysterious monk, who is additionally trapping her inside a force field, whilst the person famous himself to be every other alien that was looking for the weapon. The vintage man attempts forcing the girl to tell him the whereabouts of the crash-landed spaceship so he can finally cross home, but Yian refuses regardless of what, even supposing it weigh her very own loss of life. It's quick found out that the monk is actually running with the killer, as they may be looking for their chief who has by hook or by crook disappeared, whilst looking for a manner to go back to their personal timeline. At the same time, Maruk is subsequently able to regain cognizance from the preceding night, but has problem identifying what to do subsequent. Luckily, he manages to find the followers of the alien monk, and starts off evolved knocking them out one after the other, so he can tackle their identities as properly. This permits him to sneak into the monk's temple, while sooner or later locating the vicinity of the crystal knife as well. The man waits until sundown and starts lowering himself into the room like mission not possible, however fast sees that the 2 wizards are here as nicely. However, they seem like in some way paralyzed. The hunter takes the chance and Speedy retrieves the knife, but just before he is about to leave, the mages tell the person that everyone has been poisoned with the aid of the aliens, which additionally includes Yian. Happily, they have got the antidote proper here, which Maruk is able to take right away, and leaving the 2 wizards with the only different medicine on the table. This forces the mages to crawl in the direction of the antidote, and ultimately curing themselves, at the same time as the hunter rushes closer to Yian right now to store her life. But, earlier than the man can reach the female, he's quick attacked through the alien from across the constructing that sends him flying away and crashing down in the direction of the floor. The hunter manages to in the end recover as he runs closer to the female and offers her the medication right away, at the same time as hoping that it's now not too past due. Earlier than the lady can get better, the man notices the aliens drawing close him from the shadows and tries to attack proper away, but is quickly stabbed by using the enemy from at the back of. This leaves the hunter in essential conditions, while the extraterrestrial beings are able to get back the knife as nicely. The enemies in the end determine to bury Yian alive, while setting the hunter in a coffin and throwing him into the water to slowly drown. On the opposite side in the future timeline, greater aliens have awoke within the crimson atmosphere, as they Speedy join collectively with their leader, whilst making plans to take back the spaceship. The alien attacks have additionally been broadcasted onto the information, and Guard realizes that the enemies should be heading their way right now. He tells the girl that he have to stay and combat the extraterrestrial beings, no matter knowing that he's heavily wounded from the preceding warfare. The android tells Thunder to eliminate the girl with the aid of the use of their best automobile so that she can stored, whilst he plans on staying behind and going through the enemies all with the aid of himself. What he does not recognize is that Yian would in no way abandon her family, although the android is from a distinctive planet. The female's conviction has additionally made Thunder comprehend that they may win the warfare if they by hook or by crook use the human's help, as he makes a decision to return straight away to his buddy. Very quickly, the enemies have located the robotics vicinity as they come onto the hideout, however is surprised to see that no one is guarding the location. The aliens quickly input into the spaceship, while the robotics secretly plans to ambush them, but is fast located with the aid of the alien boss, who throws the android crashing onto the ground. S.H.I.E.L.D. attempts to combat back without delay, however is completely overpowered via the enemies, while the aliens start taking away all the poisonous gases into the room. Happily, the robotic is able to sense that his friends are coming back, as he fast takes the crystal knife and throws it outside the area deliver. Thunder sees this and catches the weapon proper away, while charging immediately for the vessel's eye to damage the aircraft in a single strike. However, he is quick-driven return by way of the enemies, who sends a barrage of laser beams closer to the robot that sooner or later knocks him flying towards the partitions. On the equal time, Defend maintains looking to forestall the alien as he refuses to surrender, but is only grabbed onto through the enemy and speedy tossed outdoor closer to the ground. Yeon sees this and enables her father onto the automobile, while conjuring up a plan to lure the enemies in a one-of-a-kind timeline. The aliens recognize that the Guardians are strolling away, which reasons them to chase after the automobile and the usage of all their powers to try to ruin the human beings. Thunder manages to capture up as well, and tells the android to open up the portal proper now, as a shiny mild starts to form in space, whilst sending absolutely everyone immediately into the beyond. The humans fly via the gateway as they release throughout the sky, whilst sooner or later losing into the timber, which brings them in addition down the mountains. The automobile is compelled to jump off a cliff as it crashes onto the floor, and finally stopping right before the autumn. The Guardian fast notices that the extraterrestrial beings are still alive and costs closer to the enemy proper away, but is handiest stabbed by way of the creature and thrown away like a ragdoll instead. But the robot refuses to surrender, even as attempting to shop for time for the young lady to run, but is quickly overpowered by way of the alien boss and torn aside by using the enemy. Yeon sees this and fires constantly at the alien, who quickly retaliates via taking pictures his tentacle and knocking the automobile over the cliff, even as throwing the lady into the water. Fortuitously, Yeon is capable of get out just in time, as she attempts desperately to grab onto the crystal knife, however handiest dropping it within the very last second. Even as the complete spaceship is drowning into the abyss, Thunder tells the lady to eventually locate him, as they are able to still win the battle due to her. On the equal time, a younger Maruk sees the close-by commotion and is quick able to discover the young female on the rims of the lake. The boy subsequently manages to keep her and take her again onto shore as properly, but is amazed through the type of apparel that she's sporting. Yeon begs the younger hunter to help her locate the knife, because the boy speedy jumps into the lake and starts off evolved swimming deeper toward the backside, where he manages to grab the lady's backpack. But when he tries to go returned up, he quick senses that something is incorrect, as he sees a mysterious coffin in the water. Abruptly, the wooden field starts shaking, whilst the older hunter manages to in the end ruin out, but is stunned to peer his more youthful self inside the lake. The man quick swims away in confusion as he makes it closer to the surface, but unusually starts sensing that his power has in some way extended dramatically as nicely. On the same time, the aliens' minions are seeking to bury the girl, however Yeon is ready to wake up and shoots the enemies from the internal, even as managing to sooner or later damage out. She rushes towards the extraterrestrial beings immediately, and shoots continuously at her enemy, which manages to knock off the crystal knife, and permitting the female to retrieve the weapon at the equal time. Yeon rush away immediately as she tries to cover from the approaching enemies. Simply earlier than she can be found, the two wizards seem as nicely to take vengeance for being almost poisoned to dying by using their backstabbing employers. They are trying to hypnotize the fighters, no longer knowing that those are extraterrestrial beings in disguise, which speedy reasons them to be thrown round and tossed away like not anything, however insects. The killer finally notices the female as nicely and begins chasing her via the constructing, at the same time as attempting desperately to get back the knife. On the opposite side, the alien monk is continuing his fight against the wizards, but quickly falls prey to their unusual magics and grimy preventing methods. This eventually permits the mages to drag out their closing weapon, which enlarges a massive box that fast traps the enemy inside. On the same time, the killer sooner or later manages to nuke the lady, and rendering her gun completely vain, as he turns the weapon closer to Yeon and forcing her to pull the trigger. Luckily, before the female may be killed, a giant sword begins flying closer to the building and reducing off the creature's tentacles straight away. It's fast discovered that Maruk has in the end again, as he throws the enemy crashing into the fire pits. The hunter takes out the considerable sword and starts off evolved, preventing furiously in opposition to the alien, while ultimately gaining the advantage and knocking away the opponent. But the creature quick turns the tide, as he starts capturing lasers towards the man, whilst pushing the hunter backwards and crashing into the buildings. The female wizard sees this, and decides to take on the alien all by herself, as she enlarges her arm, which lets in her to grab onto the enemy and slamming the opponent onto the floor. The alien tries to get better, but the female quickly launches a second attack that pushes the enemy backwards constantly and crushing him onto the walls. Exceedingly, the alien manages to arise and counters the attack by using the use of his laser beam, which forces the wizard to tug returned right now. This allows the enemy to launch his tentacles and throwing the female away like a ragdoll. Luckily, Maruk is capable of regain cognizance, as he slowly walks out of doors and getting ready to fight the aliens for a 2D time. The person Speedy rushes forwards and leaps in to attack the creature, at the same time as in the end coping with to cut off the alien's arm it's holding the laser weapon. This allows him to strike the monster continuously and stabbing through the enemy in unmarried strikes, as he pins the alien onto the wall. At the equal time, Yeon notices the alien's human host, and sees the paranormal reflect of the wizard, which lets in her to conjure up a plan. The lady grabs onto the glass and throws it in the direction of the enemy, at the same time as capturing her gun without delay at the mirror. This turns the bullet into a cannonball, which destroys the human host and sending him crashing onto the ground. However, the fight is not over yet, because the alien monk inside the ceiling box starts off evolved to vibrate and finally breaking out as a result. The old guy Speedy levitates into the sky, at the same time as the second alien starts to show its genuine shape. It is even larger than his buddy. The creature turns the eye closer to Maruk and prices forwards immediately to save the different alien. Thankfully, Yeon is in a position to reveal up simply in time to distract the enemy by way of taking pictures her gun, and luring the creature far away from the hunter. The woman sooner or later makes it toward the boat, and attempts desperately to break out from the vicinity, whilst the alien follows her closely in the back of. The creature is quick able to find the boat and jumps on pinnacle to kill the human, but Handiest sees that the vessel is completely empty. It turns out the female turned into capable of breakout simply in time, as she secretly swims away interior the water, alongside the demon hunter's cats. On the other facet, the injured alien is slowing disappearing into the air, because it cannot continue to exist with its human host already lifeless. But, despite triumphing the fight, Maruk starts to experience that something is inaccurate, as he starts remembering his beyond reminiscences, wherein he stored the young female and got back her property. They eventually spent the night time collectively, however soon starts hearing something from inside the forest. The young boy decide to look into at once, but only to look that the alien boss is limping toward him, while in the end implanting into his body as well. Knowing that there may be an alien interior his heart, the hunter faints onto the floor, and eventually losing his consciousness as a result. And if you like my videos, please press like and subscribe.